Hi, everybody. Mike Series here. Uh, this is part 2 of the definition of status video. I just wanted to run down a couple of different things. Uh, we went over the basic definitions of statuses on part 1. I just wanted to just quickly run over it because it took 4 minutes to get to that part, and we only have a 15-minute window here. So I'm going to just quickly run through the status definitions again, and then move on to additional information so that you can more clearly understand what this all means. Okay, so in the first video, we talked about buyers and sellers kind of be treated a little differently. So that being the case, let's just jump right in and go over the definitions quickly of the buyer status. So obviously prospect buyers have no idea what they're looking for. They don't have a time frame. They don't even know where they want to be. They just know that maybe at some point in the future they might want to purchase something, and you happen to have their information. So they're prospects, okay? And then the new lead is a person that came in off of something specific, a specific property. Either you posted on a social media platform, you sent out new listings, and they came in and requested information on those new listings. They drove in front of your new listing and called you up on the yard sign and asked for more information about the property. They came to your open house. And the one thing that I neglected to mention yesterday was they also could be from Weichert Lead Network because they came in off of the Weichert.com looking at a specific property and then getting that information getting forwarded to you. So that's all the definition of new lead. Now remember, the new leads and the prospects, this is your funnel. This is filling up your business pipeline. And as you can see right here, I'm showing the pipeline, right? So the funnel is dumping all your new contacts, however you get them, into these two statuses. And your goal is to market yourself to these statuses and for the sole purpose of starting to move them down the pipeline. So the first step would be to move them starting this way. So what's the definition of an active lead? Okay, so the definition of active lead very quickly is either you followed up with these people and offered, or they had requested more listings. Basically, that's the simple definition of an active lead buyer. They want more listings. So the idea is as soon as they say, send me listings, you move them out of one of these two columns, you move them to the active lead column, and you set up the search alert in the CRM so that they're getting automated listings. Now, it's also possible to use the Garden State MLS, the auto email system in the Garden State MLS, but it's much better to use the search alert in the CRM here, because then you can see exactly what's happening with those listings that you're sending over. Okay, so now the goal is to, obviously, you're going to follow up with the active lead, and it's a very simple active lead. You look in your CRM, you see the term active lead status next to their name. You know that these people are getting listings. So obviously the follow-up call is very simple. The follow-up call is, hey, did you like anything I sent you last week? And hopefully the answer is yes. As soon as they say yes, I want to go see one of those houses you sent me. As soon as they say they want to go see houses, you move them to client lead. And then obviously, if they like one of those houses, they make an offer, and they go under contract. The offer's accepted, they go under contract. You move them to under contract lead. And then obviously the goal is to close them. Now, what I didn't cover, and what I said I wasn't going to because of time constraint, I have a little more time today because I jumped right in. So there are 4 buyer caveats to those definitions. Okay, so let's go over the buyer caveats right now. So for example, let's say you have an active lead and a client lead, right? So basically, these are leads that you're going to follow up with. So first, you're sending listings to the active lead, or you have shown client lead some houses, and they're still getting the same active listings that you were sending when they were active, right? When they were an active lead. So what happens? Let's say they go under contract. So what do you do immediately after you move them to under contract, because now they're under contract? What's the very next thing you want to do, right? So the very next thing you want to do is make sure you turn off the search alert, okay? Because you don't want to continue sending them new listings if they're under contract with one, because the last thing you want is for them to call you up and tell you, hey, you know what, that last house you sent me, I like it and I want to go see it, and how do I get out of this under contract one? Okay, so you don't want to do that, right? You don't want to open up that can of worms. Like I said, if they see it themselves, great, there's nothing you can do about that, but you don't want to be the catalyst for getting out of under contract. Now, also, now if they're under contract and you close them, right? So you move them to the close column. What's the very next thing you want to do? Under contract, as soon as they go to close, you want to make sure you go into their CRM profile and write in the close date, because the system, once it's set up properly, the system will follow up annually, and it does have a closed campaign that follows up on a determination of what you wanted to make that custom campaign work. So the system will work based on the closing status, okay? And it'll also follow up annually and then remind you of the annual follow-up in your dashboard. So it's a very good system of follow-up, okay? Caveat number 3, you've got an active lead and you've got a client lead. So you're either sending somebody listings, or you're sending them listings and showing them houses, right? Because that's the definition. And all of a sudden you follow up with them and they don't answer the phone. And then you try following up with it again and they don't answer the phone. And you try again and they don't answer. So what do you do with this person that's kind of fallen off the face of the earth, right? So if that's the case, you basically have that definition, because what's happening? You don't know what's going on. You don't know what they want. Apparently they don't know what they're doing. So that's the definition of a prospect, right? So if that happens in your case, you move them back to the prospect column, and then you market yourself separately to the prospects, okay? Now, let's say you have, you're doing an open house. And if you have the open house app, right, that you should have from Wykert, you could download the app, and that way it directly uploads into the CRM. The only problem is when you're using the app, it uploads as a prospect, okay? Now, the definition of a prospect is they don't know what they want, but these people came in off of a specific property. So in reality, they should come in as new leads, okay? But they come in as prospects. It's default in the system. I can't really change it, and that's just the way it is. So what you're going to have to do, the 4th caveat, is to go in the day after the open house, make sure that all your prospect open house people that just came in get moved manually to the new lead status, okay? Because those are the people you want to follow up with, okay? So let's go over the sellers really quickly, all right? So the sellers, remember, the seller prospects and they're the same as the buyer prospects, right? They don't really know what they want. They don't know when they want to sell. I went over the part 1 conversation of what they may be saying to you as giving you the definition, right? The new lead, on the other hand, come in off of something specific, like, for example, maybe a specific referral. The lead network seller has come in, or they came in off of an advertisement that you put for, say, what's your home worth type of situation. Those are the new leads. And again, you're marketing yourself to those people, right? For the sole purpose of what? To get them to say to you, come over and take a look at my house, right? That's the first step. That's what you want to do first, right? You come over, take a look at their house, you move them to active lead immediately, okay? And then go take a look at their house. Obviously, they stay in active lead until they either do one of the other things, right? They either fall off the face of the earth, in which case you move them back to prospect, or they sign the listing agreement, in which case now they're your client. And then obviously when an offer comes in, you're under contract, and then under contract, you want to close them. And as soon as you close them, what do? Go into their profile and put in the closing date, okay? Because you want to follow up with them, and you get these emails automated, and you get reminded that it's an annual follow-up, right? So there's one caveat in the seller category, and the one caveat is you're under contract. What happens when if the contract falls apart? Okay, so that happens. Unfortunately, maybe something's going on in the inspection issues, or they couldn't get the mortgage after all, or something happens. What do you do with that person, right? Well, you still have the listing agreement signed, so guess what? They go right back to client. Okay. If the listing agreement has expired, they go back to active lead, and then the follow-up to try and get them to reactivate and re-sign, okay, to client, okay? So that's the definition of the statuses with the added caveats, okay? So that's, I'm trying to go fast because, again, I'm on time constraint here, and you can always replay the video if you miss something. So I don't mind going fast when I'm recording. All right, so that's the definitions of both statuses with the additional caveats that are important to understand, okay? So now, let's just spend a little time going over by what it means by marketing to your prospects and your new leads, okay? The active lead, client lead, under contract, and closed, you already have them, right? They've already asked you to do specific things for them. So it's not like you're going to be marketing to them, right? So you're spending most of your time in this entire CRM. The bulk of your time is going to be spent marketing yourself to these two columns to try to get them, no matter what they are, buyer, seller, renter, to try and get them to move down that pipeline, right? So in that bulk amount of time, right, that you're spending on your CRM, where do you think you're going to spend the vast majority of that particular amount of time that you're spent marketing? Right? So the answer to that is you're going to spend most of your time marketing to the new leads. These are the people that have requested, that have looked at specific things, have come in off of specific things. So they're a little more hot and heavy than the wanderless, listless prospects that are going to eventually start growing in your system. Because after a while, you're going to do open houses, right? You're going to get a lot of people into your new lead CRM, and many of those are not going to respond to you. Right? So what happens after a while is you're going to eventually move those people back to prospect. So that prospect column is going to start to grow and grow and grow. So, but the focus is the new leads. That's where all the campaigns are generating. That's where all the emails and texts are going out on your behalf. That's where most of, in fact, pretty much all of in your dashboard, all of the call follow-ups are going to be generated from all your new leads. The prospects they shouldn't have any campaigns attached to them, okay? And they shouldn't have any real search alerts attached to them. If they have a search alert attached to those people, what are they? If they've requested some information and they have a search alert, they should be an active lead. They should not be a prospect, right? So the idea for prospects, right? You're going to spend most of your time, let's say out of the bulk of time you're going to spend in total marketing yourself to these two columns, 80% of the time is going to be spent focusing on these new leads, whereas the remaining 20% is going to be dealing with prospects. So in terms of that, what are you going to send them? You're going to send them emails, you're going to send them text, you're going to send them some information through an email, say on what the market is doing. And you could also use the same information over here, right? For active lead, all right? If you can additionally send a market report to potential sellers, you can send a market report to potential sellers here. You can update people on what's going on in the market. You can send an email out to buyers about the absorption rate and how it affects pricing and what's going to happen if you wait. If the absorption rate is very, very low in a specific area that they're interested in, what's going to happen if they wait, right? If they wait, we're going to wait till the next spring, right? So what's going to happen to pricing? Chances are, according to the absorption rates, if the absorption rates in a seller's market, those prices are going to go up. They're going to pay more money, right? And you don't know what the interest rates are going to do. So that's the kind of stuff that you're sending out. I will be doing overall classes on what's going on what type of things and different things you can send. But the overall idea about prospects is that every once in a while, you don't want to spend too much time because, again, they're just sitting in your CRM. You could pull a bunch of people in from Cole Realty Resource and market to them local market conditions because you're pulling them all from streets. So it's a thing. So what you want to do is you want to market yourself maybe once a week, maybe once every other week. So you got to find out, choose what you're going to send, and then send it that many times. All right. I'm at the end of the 15-minute period. I hate to have gone it so fast, but I can't help that. I will talk to you guys in personal one-on-ones and the bulk training that I do And hope you enjoyed this. Hope you learned something. I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks.